What's up, everybody? Welcome to That One We Film Class, the show where we love movies. So each month we choose a theme and our members bring one movie that fits the theme for us to talk about. Maybe it's a movie they love. Maybe it's a movie they have been dying to see. Maybe it's a movie they just find interesting. I'm Ben Bellevue, and I am joined by the villain vixen, the supervillain seducer, the asshole apologist, the damsel who may or may not be in distress, but it's okay because she's handling it, Chloe Naylor.
Hi, I like that new addition. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I was really excited to see your reaction to it. If you look in our document, I made it white text so you couldn't see what I'd added.
I just saw it. I'm like, what's next? Oh, okay. All right. Also apologist. You're not wrong.
I know.
So yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Chloe, this month we're talking about our favorite movies. So far, you and I have both presented one of ours. You have presented Transformers, Dark of the Moon, and I have presented Little Women. And now, here, today, we discuss your second choice. And what choice is that?
We are talking about Prisoners.
Hell yeah, we are. I like how every episode I build up to like, what movie are we talking about? As if A, we didn't announce it last episode, and B, and more importantly, it isn't the title of this podcast episode.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
I want to imagine someone like is sitting there listening to it, and there's like, they completely forgot the episode title. They clicked on 5 seconds ago, and they're like, ah, man, Prisoners, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's like wild. No clue.
Now, Chloe, Prisoners is one of your favorite movies. Before we dive into like the details about it, tell me your basic thoughts on the movie. Why does it mean so much to you? What
Jake
brings us
Gyllenhaal's
here?
hot.
That is true.
Yeah. Really, that's all I got, honestly.
Oh my God.
It's also just a good movie.
It is a good movie. Yeah. I feel like we've talked about this before, but I feel like your taste tends to veer towards like, I want to say darker stuff in general, but I'm not sure that's entirely accurate. But I know like you like this, you like Zodiac. Mm-hmm. Arrival is one of your favorite movies, which isn't really dark, but and then what's your fourth that I'm forgetting?
Gone Girl.
Gone Girl, yeah.
Yeah.
Some fucked up shit happens in some of your favorite movies.
Yeah.
And even Dark of the Moon is like the darkest Transformers movie.
It is. It's great.
Yeah. Now, Chloe, before we dive into talking about this whole movie thing, this whole Prisoners thing,
yeah,
I have a confession to make.
Oh no.
So I know this episode we're sitting down, we're talking about Prisoners. I watched Prisoners. I had feelings about Prisoners.
Okay.
However, I haven't seen any other Denis Villeneuve movie besides Blade Runner 2049 until watching Prisoners.
Oh my God.
I almost watched Arrival. I started watching Arrival, but it's slow. And I'd been at Universal Studios Hollywood all day. So I fell asleep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So my confession is I watched Prisoners yesterday, and then I watched Sicario last night, and then I watched Arrival 2 hours ago.
Very nice.
So I'm now very versed in Denis Villeneuve movies.
Good. I'm glad. Good to hear it.
So I'm going to end up talking about other Denis Villeneuve movies throughout the course of this. Probably Arrival, because that movie slaps.
Yes. Thank you.
Good God, that is a good movie.
I'm so glad you liked it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
But of course, we are talking about Prisoners. That is our main focus. I don't want to detract from that. Before we dive into what happens in this movie, though, let's talk a little bit about the crew. And of course, we start off with already mentioned director, Denis Villeneuve. Chloe, how much do you know about who is, like, he's one of your favorite directors, basically, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. How much do you know about him?
I don't think I know much about him outside of the movies that he's done.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, obviously, in most of these cases, neither do I, but I research. He is French-Canadian. I always thought he was French. Like, I always thought he was a French director who came to America. He's not. He's a French-Canadian director.
Nice. He
was from Quebec. His first movies were in French. So that's part of, I think, the reason that I had that assumption. Mm-hmm. But he is not a like French director. He studied science in college before going on to University of Montreal to study film. University of Montreal has a much more complicated name that is all Frenchy, and I can't say it, so I'm not going to bother trying.
Gotcha.
He started off by making documentaries, and then he feels that his first films that he eventually got into had like good ideas, but a lot of flaws. And he also thinks he was kind of a weak, arrogant screenwriter. So he kind of took his time away from the filmmaking part to come back to it, where he feels he's a much more capable filmmaker and screenwriter now. He won Radio Canada's Youth Film Competition for a short film that he made in the early 90s. He's made 4 French-Canadian features before going English with Enemy. And then Enemy was a Canadian-made movie, but it was in English, also with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did Prisoners, which was his first like American-made English film. And he's been American-made English movies ever since.
Nice.
He also made Sicario, Arrival, and Blade Runner 2049, which came out within a 3-year span, which alarms me.
Yeah.
Like
banger after banger.
It's not just that it's banger after banger. It's that what was his schedule? How do you make a new movie each year?
Don't even know.
I'm so alarmed and confused. Did he overwork himself? Was it just that like he made them in a longer stretch of time, but it took a while for some of them to get out the door for some reason?
It's like not even like they're like small budget little indie films.
No.
Those are all huge movies.
Yeah, and like the line between the timeline between Blade Runner 2049 and Dune, which is his next movie, is like a 3-year gap. So he's gotten that time there, but for some reason those movies just came out back to back to back.
Yeah.
I feel like I heard of Sicario, and then Arrival was a big deal, and that's when I first heard the name Denis Villeneuve. That's also when I started going to film school, so that might be why.
Gotcha.
And then suddenly Blade Runner 2049 was out, and I was like, but what?
Yeah.
But he just, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's alarming. He is a talented man.
Yeah.
Besides working on the Dune movie that's coming up, he also is working on a TV series that is based on Dune as well. It's called Dune: The Sisterhood, and it will focus on like the female characters in the story, I guess. I haven't read Dune, so I don't know exactly what that means, but he's an executive producer and director on it. Generally, the director of the first episode of a TV show gets producer credit, so I don't know exactly like what his producer credit means beyond I directed the first episode, but we'll see. He's been compared to Christopher Nolan. How do you feel about that comparison?
Not bad. I think I like Nolan films, so yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know, sure.
Yeah, I definitely see it. I think from having just watched a bunch of them, I didn't like Sicario that much, but that's a personal bias. I just don't like that kind of movie that often.
That's fair. Yeah.
But it's very well made.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I like Denis Villeneuve more than Christopher Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I definitely see the similarities. Denis feels like a more, I guess, human version of Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
Like Christopher Nolan tends to get very caught up in like the plot and the big ideas, and I feel like sometimes the humanity of it's lost. And even in like The Dark Knight, everyone talks about Joker, and like Joker's great, but Joker is the least human character in that movie. He's essentially a monster.
True.
And he's great at being a monster, but I feel like the fact that the character people relate to, the character that people think is the best character in that movie is the least human character in that movie, I think kind of speaks to my feeling that like Christopher Nolan doesn't always pull off humanity super well.
Yeah. I get
And I think Denis very much does.
100%. I agree.
My other hot take is that Denis Villeneuve is just Stanley Kubrick if Stanley Kubrick was actually a good director.
Ooh,
I have hot takes.
get
here.
him.
I have fucking hot takes. Stanley Kubrick, A, is pretentious, but B, was an asshole on set with his actors. And I'm sorry, if you don't take care of your crew, you're not a good director. I don't care how good your movies are. You can make good movies. You're not a good director. This is my opinion. Anyway, Denis Villeneuve's style focuses a lot on visuals, as I'm sure you're aware, and like slower moments that build up to something. This can be in terms of like Sicario, which uses a lot of slowness to build tension, and Prisoners as well uses a lot of slowness to build tension before action. But even Arrival is like slowness just to build curiosity and confusion.
Yeah.
He tends towards dark subject matter, as I'm sure you're aware, and also makes sense for him being one of your favorite directors.
Yeah.
He says he doesn't mean to. In interviews, he's like, look, I make whatever movies I fall in love with. I wish I fell in love with like a happy musical. I keep falling in love with this shit.
I get it.
He also thinks that it's partly to do with like, because he's Canadian, he thinks that Canada's just kind of like chill and nice. And it gives them more allowance to like go to those dark places because overall their life is fairly privileged. He's like, the worst thing we have here is like the winter.
Yeah.
Overall, life's pretty great. I can go to those dark places. And like Sweden does that too, which is what he said. He's like, I feel like that's why you get a lot of dark Swedish movies too, because overall their life is pretty chill.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah. He tends to withhold violence, which I'm a very big fan of. And it's something we'll talk about in this movie too, where like violence happens, but you rarely see it unless it's really important.
I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, I don't handle brutal violence very well. I enjoy like fun violence. Like you throw me an action movie and you're like, here's our characters beating each other up and like fun, cool choreographed fist fights. I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah, like some of the Marvel fights. Like that's whatever, you know.
Yeah, or like John Wick. It's like it can be like John Wick Chapter 3 has a knife fight where they're like throwing knives at each other and like stabbing each other. And I'm like, yeah, this is brutal, but also A, you're not focusing on the actual like bloodiness of it. And B, it's beautifully choreographed. So it feels like a dance.
Right.
But his movies definitely aren't that. His movies, if you focus on the violence, would just be about the brutality of it. And I'm very glad he doesn't do that. Because I find it kind of cheap and lazy. And this is why I don't like Midsommar, because it exploits its gore to shock you instead of actually giving you interesting horror scenes. Anyway, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
Moving on. He says his job is to make poetry with a camera. That's the essence of what he does. And that's kind of what he like says for other filmmakers too, who are trying to get into the industry. They're like, just go out and like shoot and try and find ways to make poetry with the camera. Even if it is on like a cheap handheld camera or your cell phone or whatever, figure out how to interpret your world in a poetic way that means something to you. He also loves science fiction. You may have noticed. Yeah. It's like he made a hard turn. He went from like very personal, dark, like based in reality stories to like Arrival, which is wild. That movie, that movie's wild.
Yeah, it is.
And then went to Blair in 2049, which is like very out there as well. And now doing Dune, which I assume is very out there. I don't know Dune very well, but like it's super sci-fi from my understanding. He does good work.
He does.
Would you say Prisoners is your favorite of his movies or Arrival? Because I know those are like your top two.
That's a tough one.
You can just say I don't want to choose.
I can't.
Okay, that's fair. That is fair.
I think Jake Gyllenhaal does give it a couple more points, but like.
So if you put Jake Gyllenhaal in Jeremy Renner's place in Arrival,
oh my god, perfect movie.
Yeah. Okay. He and Jake Gyllenhaal are also like really close. He says that he worked on Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal, where it was like a very personal, very much like just kind of the two of them collaborating a lot. And his objective there was to build this like friendship of cinema and like collaboration of cinema with Jake. And he used that to build towards doing Prisoners with him. And he expressed a desire to keep Jake and like to use Jake in his movies going forward. And it's interesting that like Jake Gyllenhaal hasn't been in any since Prisoners, but hopefully we see another one. He was attached to a Denis Villeneuve movie called, I think, The Sun, that was announced in like 2016 as a project in development. I don't know if that's something that'll happen later. Maybe he just got distracted by like the opportunity of Blade Runner and the opportunity of Dune.
Right.
But hopefully we see that, because I think that
I hope so.
I really like Jake Gyllenhaal's work in this movie. And I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They have good camaraderie. The movie's written by Aaron Guzikowski. He wrote Prisoners on spec for 2 years. Do you know what spec means?
No.
It's like speculative. So basically what spec means is you weren't hired to write this. You wrote it for yourself. And you are now going to like shop it around. So any script I write right now is spec. It's not a pre-existing contract. I didn't go to Warner Brothers and be like, hey, here's my idea for a movie. And they're like, cool, here's money. And here's the deadlines with which to write drafts of it. It's just like he wrote the script on his own time in whichever way he wanted, and then went out after it was finished, after he was like satisfied with it, which was a 2-year period. I don't know how many drafts that took. And then he like started shopping around and being like, hey, I have the script.
Okay.
So that's what spec means.
Interesting.
And then in like TV, you have that too, where it's like a spec tends to be. So in TV, there's 2 types of specs. There's pilot specs, which is someone writes their own pilot for a theoretical TV show, which is the more popular version right now. And the old style is specs based on a pre-existing TV show. So it's like, I've written an episode with a writing partner. I've written an episode of like New Girl that's set in a theoretical version of like season 7 before season 7 actually came out. And those used to be very popular. Those used to be how people got their TV writing jobs, but now they're not popular, which I kind of think is dumb, because part of the job of writing TV is knowing how to write someone else's voice, not your own. But whatever, here we are.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's currently the co-creator of an upcoming sci-fi show with Ridley Scott. They're co-creators on it, which is A, interesting. B, makes me curious if like Denny connected them because of Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
This guy didn't write Blade Runner 2049, but like maybe because Denny was on that, he knew Ridley. Who knows?
Just kind of mutual.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I forgot to mention Prisoners was also listed on the Hollywood Blacklist, which is a yearly list of what is determined to be the best unproduced screenplays going around Hollywood at the time. So like Jojo Rabbit was on the Hollywood Blacklist once upon a time. This was on the Hollywood Blacklist. A lot of other movies have been, but I can't think of what they are off the top of my head. But like there's been a bunch of movies that eventually get produced because they end up on the blacklist and everyone's like, oh man, this movie. And then here we are. The cinematographer is Roger Deakins. I meant to do research on Roger Deakins and then totally forgot. But
Good
he is
job.
a legend of cinematography. He's been nominated for countless Best Cinematography Awards. He's finally won his first two recently, once with Blade Runner 2049, which was his first, and now with 1917. I don't know how to describe, like, because his style does vary, but also you can kind of tell that it's Roger Deakins.
Yeah.
He likes not one color, but he definitely doesn't like unnecessary color. And like Denny talked about that with this movie, where any color in the shot that was just like small bits that weren't necessary, he wanted removed. I feel like it's an interesting difference between this though and like Christopher Nolan movies, because one of my biggest issues with Christopher Nolan movies is that they're often very like, they feel like an office building. They're like blacks and blues and beiges. And I'm like, I'm bored.
Yeah.
I enjoy his movies, but it makes me like less like loving of them.
Okay.
And I feel like Roger Deakins and Denis Villeneuve in collaboration with him, and maybe just Denis Villeneuve overall, they have that style, but they still kind of have a warmth to them and a color palette that doesn't feel as sterile as like a Christopher Nolan.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Denis Villeneuve is also the only cinematographer that, or Roger Deakins is the only cinematographer that Denis Villeneuve has worked with multiple times, at least in America. It's possible he's worked with the same cinematographer in France or in Canada. I forgot to check his older movies, but he's worked with Denis 3 times, and every other movie that he's made has been like just a one-off cinematographer. So they seem to have a very close relationship.
Nice. Okay.
Our cast, of course, starts off with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes.
Detective Loki.
Yes.
Which is a fascinating choice of name.
I know.
Jake Gyllenhaal comes from the Gyllenhaal family. His father and mother are both writers/directors in Hollywood. His sister, Maggie Gyllenhaal, is also an actress, best recognized from The Dark Knight, where she played Rachel. Is that her name? I feel like her name's Rachel. I'm going to go with Rachel.
Okay.
She plays the girl that Bruce Wayne is in love with.
Yeah.
And she's also been in other things. He began acting as a child. His breakthrough was with October Sky and Donnie Darko, both movies I have not seen. He won a BAFTA for supporting actor in Brokeback Mountain. And his other notable films include Zodiac, Source Code, Enemy, Nightcrawler, Spider-Man Far From Home, Okja, John Mulaney and the Sack Lunch Bunch, End of Watch, and Prince of Persia. But let's not talk about that last one. He also almost replaced Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 2 as Peter Parker.
Almost there. Almost had that.
He was very close.
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire says it's because they were uncertain of his ability to like do certain stunts for that movie because it was more stunt intensive.
Mm-hmm.
Other reports have said that it was because Tobey Maguire was like pushing for more money and they called his bluff.
Okay.
But Toby said in response to that, that's just like a rogue journalist, and it was so who knows what happened. But the point is, Jake Gyllenhaal is who they went to.
Okay.
Gyllenhaal and Tobey Maguire did eventually star in a movie, Brothers, where they played brothers.
Oh.
And Jake Gyllenhaal bangs Tobey Maguire's wife.
Nice.
Yeah. The plot is that Tobey Maguire, I think, dies or like supposedly dies at war, and then Jake Gyllenhaal ends up like romantically involved with Tobey Maguire's wife in the process of comforting her from the death. And then
okay.
Tobey Maguire comes back and it's like,
Yikes.
awkward.
Yeah. Okay.
Much like Denis Villeneuve makes a lot of dark movies, Jake Gyllenhaal's in a lot of dark movies.
Yeah, he is.
He says what he actually looks for is love, and that he views darkness as like a way to see the light of love, which is A, a very Jake Gyllenhaal way to respond to something, and B, cute.
Yeah.
We have Hugh Jackman as Keller Dover. Hugh Jackman took a 1-year acting course after getting a bachelor's degree in communications. This is where he realized he could be doing acting full time. He says he felt like everyone was better than him at the acting school, but thinks it was good to come from behind. And that's how you should look at like every audition when you're an actor. You have to like really earn it. He got his first job the same day he graduated from this 1-year academy.
Wow.
The same day. He got a call for a 10-part series, which is also where he met his wife.
Oh.
Talk about just luck.
That's a great day for him, huh?
Right? He played Gaston in an Australian production of Beauty and the Beast, which is great casting, frankly.
I get it. Yeah.
He gained international recognition with Oklahoma at the Royal National Theatre in London, and his breakthrough on the film scene was with X-Men, where he initially studied wolves to play the character before realizing Wolverine was not an allusion to wolves.
That's hilarious. Wow.
I love that so much.
I had no idea.
He's also known for Kate and Leopold, Les Mis, Greatest Showman, Bad Education, and Missing Link. He was on Music Man on Broadway, or is on Music Man on Broadway. It said 2020, but the state of Broadway confuses me at the moment because, quarantine.
Yeah, right.
So here we are. We also have an early appearance by Viola Davis as Nancy Birch. Not that early on her like overall acting reign, but just in terms of like her really having mainstream recognition. This was like right before it, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
She graduated from Juilliard, performed in theater and with small roles in movies and TV, won a Tony Award for a role in King Hedley II, had a breakthrough film role in Doubt and won an Academy Award, and got an Academy Award nomination for The Help. She's also known for Suicide Squad, Widows, Fences, a movie based on a play where she also originated the character on Broadway, and How to Get Away with Murder, the TV show, and she was in Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah.
Many things.
Oh, yeah.
We have Maria Bello as Grace Dover. She graduated with a poli-sci degree, then pursued acting in New York theater. Just as a reminder that your degree does not define who you are or what you will do.
True.
She has notable roles in Coyote Ugly, in Grown Ups 1 and 2, where she plays the wife of Kevin Jones? Is that his name?
Kevin
I don't
James.
know. Kevin James.
Yeah.
She plays Kevin James' wife.
Okay. I recognize her.
She's also in Lights Out and has a main role on NCIS since 2017. We have Terrence Howard as Franklin Virch. His great-grandmother was an actress, and she's the one who raised him. He has notable roles in Crash, Hustle and Flow, Iron Man, Four Brothers. He is the voice of Tiana's dad in Princess and the Frog. He was on The Butler and on Empire on television, which was very successful, and then suddenly wasn't? I don't know what happened there.
I don't either.
There's Melissa Leo as Holly Jones. She's a regular on All My Children, which won her a Daytime Emmy, or was a regular in the 80s or 90s or something. We have Paul Dano as Alex Jones. Gained recognition and acclaim with Little Miss Sunshine and There Will Be Blood. Those were back-to-back years. Big couple years for him.
Yeah.
He has notable roles in 12 Years a Slave, Love and Mercy, Okja, Looper, and Ruby Sparks. He's also the director and co-writer of Wildlife, which I believe also stars Jake Gyllenhaal.
Sure does.
So it seems like they got along.
Yeah.
He will be playing the Riddler in the upcoming Batman movie. And he's married to Zoe Kazan, who is the co-lead in Big Sick, the wife, the girlfriend, you know what I mean.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. We have Dylan Minnette as Ralph Dover, 13 Reasons Why guy. He's also had roles in Lost, Awake, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., all on television. And finally, rounding it out, we have David Dastmalchian as Bob Taylor. He's been in Ant-Man. He's been in the Flash TV show. He was in The Dark Knight. He was in Blade Runner 2049. And he will be in Suicide Squad, or The Suicide Squad, James Gunn's version, as Polka Dot Man. Will he survive? Who can say?
Who knows?
Have you seen the cast for that movie?
The Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
I did remember seeing it once a while back. I remember it being
I don't remember
stacked.
who's in it, But what I know is that it's so big that I have to assume they're going to kill off a bunch of them very fast.
Probably.
Which frankly is smart. Like, did you ever see the original Suicide Squad?
Mm-hmm.
Which is far smarter than simply adding one character that isn't being advertised and being like, look, they died. And me being like, I didn't realize they were part of this to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, thank you.
That is everything about our crew, our cast, the people that put this together. Before we dive in to this actual recap, though, Chloe, I feel like we need to warn the audience.
Yeah.
If they've gotten to this point, if they've listened, they're like, yeah, let's talk about Prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
Prisoners is a very twisty movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's a mystery. There's mysteries afoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's a movie that you want to watch without knowing what happens going in.
Probably. That's probably best way to approach a mystery movie.
Yeah. Like, admittedly, scientifically, studies have been done that say, like, we enjoy movies more when we know what's coming.
Mm.
But I don't know if that's specifically applied to every genre. It's possible that it doesn't work with mysteries because they're so based in the mystery.
Right.
So if you're listening to this and you don't want Prisoner and you want to be able to enjoy Prisoners at some point, pause this podcast, go watch Prisoners, come back, hear us talk about it. It'll be great.
Please.
But this definitely, of all of our movies, is probably like the worst choice for just listening to the description and not watching the movie. If you don't care about watching the movie and you just want to hear us talk about it and make dumb jokes, go for it.
Yeah, got you.
Live your truth. You are allowed to enjoy things however you want to. Chloe, tell me about one of your favorite movies of all time. What happens here?
I would love to. So we start in a forest with Keller and his son hunting deer and reciting a prayer before shooting it. And on the drive back home with what later becomes dinner, Keller tells Mr. 13 Reasons Why that he's proud of him and always be ready.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
He's like, be ready, flood, earthquake, whatever. I'm just like laughing here from Pandemic.
Yes, it's great.
There's an interesting theme. I guess not theme, but there's this idea of disaster in a lot of the movies that Denis Villeneuve makes. Like, I'm just thinking about this right now, but like this movie has a disaster prepper. And like you can also argue like the kids is a disaster, but I'm thinking of like a larger global disaster.
Yeah.
And then Blade Runner is kind of like a post-apocalyptic cyberpunk world. And then Arrival also treats the arrival of these aliens as like a national crisis. Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
It is.
Especially because we're in a pandemic. So I'm just like watching all these and I'm like, no.
Oh, yes.
I get it.
Yeah, it's great. So,
anyway, continue.
Yes. I see a sketchy looking RV drive around the neighborhood playing way too happy music. The Dover family walks to their friend the Birch's house for Thanksgiving dinner. Adults cook while the older siblings take the younger girls around the neighborhood till they come across and they start playing on the sketchy RV and all the kids are like, nah, fuck this, let's head out. And after dinner, all the parents are goofing off, having a good time. Girls ask to go outside again, but only unless they go back to their Dover's house and grab Anna's safety whistle. But so while Terrence Howard, Franklin, terribly plays the trumpet, we zoom in on a tree and you're just filled with dread.
This is the moment. Actually, no, it was either this moment or when they first try and climb on the RV. Because I didn't know the plot of this movie whatsoever before playing it, besides just like Jake Gyllenhaal plays a detective.
Yeah.
So as it approached this, it started to dawn on me. And I was like, oh my God, am I watching a child abduction movie? Is Chloe making me watch a child abduction movie?
That's what I did.
This is the second child abduction movie I have watched in 24 hours.
Oh, God.
I watched Murder on the Orient Express.
Okay.
On Sunday night, which opens with a child abduction. Like it's weird. It's not exactly about child abduction, but it's set up as child abduction. And I can't explain that effectively without like spoiling things. And I'm not going to do that. But point is child abduction. And then I turned this movie on and I was like, oh no, it's happening again.
Oh no, I'm so sorry to do this to you.
It's fine.
But I'm not.
It's also the second movie I watched in a weekend that included Hugh Jackman. So I have a weird theme going on right now.
Yeah, you do. Everything is all connected. Yeah. Huh. Okay. So some time passes and the parents realize that the girls haven't come back and they didn't get their older siblings to go with them to the other house. Oh boy.
Oof.
RV is brought up, but it's no longer on the street it was before, so the cops are called. Cut to Jake Gyllenhaal. It's time. This is Detective Loki. Again, the characters I like, the Venn diagram is a circle.
Is his first name Loki or his last name Loki?
I think it's his last name.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's weirder or less weird.
I don't know.
Like, on one hand, I'm like, whose last name is Loki? On the other hand, who names their son Loki?
True. Either way, that's fine. But
it's fine. You get to like live your. Does this let you live kind of like your if Loki was a good guy fantasy?
Why would I want Loki to be a good guy?
I mean, you like this version.
I mean, yeah. I guess. I don't know.
I mean, yes, you're right. You also like villain Loki, but villain Loki also means that Loki keeps almost dying or dying. Fair. This is the curse of liking villains. They get killed off a lot.
I know. I am very much aware of that fact, unfortunately. God. Anyways. Loki's having Thanksgiving dinner alone at an empty Chinese restaurant.
Sad.
It's sad. Till his phone buzzes.
And you're right there.
I'm right here. Like, come on, I could be right there. Just call me. I'm right here.
Yeah, just call her in 2013, Jake Gyllenhaal, when she is, what, 14?
Something like that. I can't do the math right now. Yeah, no, call me in whatever, 7 years. Anyways, he's called to investigate the RV, which is nearby. Driver panics. He tries speeding off, crashes, allowing Loki to arrest him. This driver is Alex Jones. He has the IQ of a 10-year-old. So, Loki questions him for like 10 hours, can't get anything out of him. Forensics doesn't find anything, the RV. And Loki doesn't find anything.
So when I started having panic attacks that we're going to see dead kids. There were multiple times throughout this movie where I was just like viscerally terrified of seeing a dead child.
It's fair. It's a fair fear to have during this movie. Mm-hmm. And then Loki doesn't find anything at Alex's aunt's house where he grew up either. So, yikes. He has to kind of let him go if they can't charge him with anything. So, Loki meets with the parents, vows to find the girls, even though Keller is certain it's Alex, despite no evidence against him. So, okay. Loki goes off to interview some sex offenders within a 10-mile radius of the girls' homes. Breaks into a pastor's home after seeing him passed out on the floor. Investigates his house and finds a dead and bound body in the basement with a neck.
That scene was terrifying, by the way.
So scary.
Why would you go to this person's home, leave them there just unconscious, like they could wake up at any time, and then jump into a hole that if the door is closed, you probably can't get out of?
Yeah. Terrifying.
Also, why were there no stairs? Like, why did the pastor even have this?
Who knows? Horrifying. Jake Gyllenhaal has got to stop going into basements in these movies because it just gives me anxiety.
I think I'd hate being a cop with every fiber of my being.
Fair.
Because it's just like, there's so many things that happen where I'm so scared as a viewer. Mm-hmm. I don't need that in my life.
Imagine living it. No.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you eventually get numb to that, but...
I'm looking through my notes, and I like that as this scene was happening, I was like jotting down, and I was like, I don't know. I feel like going into this hole is like a bad idea. And then I continue, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, like they could easily seal him in. And then midway through the sentence, it cuts to the view of the dead body. Mm-hmm. And my sentence just shifts to, and oh my God, there's a dead body.
Love it. Yeah. So he drags himself out of the hole somehow and questions the pastor and finds out that this dude confessed and bragged about killing 16 kids. So the father just killed him to save any more. Okay.
It's a move.
It's a move. Sure.
It's a move.
Yeah. Dude's arrested for murder. So, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the point where I ask this is the point where I put the first note in saying what the actual fuck is happening. It's a note that I have multiple times throughout this movie.
So glad. Please let me know every time that comes up.
I absolutely will.
Thank you. So while the search in the woods and the rivers continues, Keller finds out that the police are letting Alex go, and he goes to stop them. Attacks Alex in the parking lot, who says They didn't cry until I left them. But of course,
that's quite the riddle.
Yeah, funny. He's the riddler. Get it, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, of course, no one else hears this. Keller takes this as solid proof that he took the girls, which, like, yeah, logically, I guess that makes sense to him. So Loki goes and interviews Alex and his aunt again, but gets nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So Keller comforts his family, tells his son to be brave, take care of his absolutely distraught mother, goes out searching. He finds Alex walking his dog, singing the same song the girls were singing the last time he saw them. So he's like, all right, this is it. Kidnaps him, keeps him in his... He also
chokes the dog.
He does choke the dog. That was weird.
Yeah. Which was just, again, a moment where I was like, yo, what the fuck with the dog?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is happening in this movie?
A lot.
So much.
A lot. So, yeah.
The use of the song as a clue is really cool, though.
That's true. Oh my gosh, it's fucking Jingle Bells Batman smells. Again, Batman. Whoa.
Maybe they watched this movie and they heard him sing that and they're like, this is our Riddler.
This is our Riddler. Yeah. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he kidnaps him, keeps him in his father's abandoned apartment to question him, much to his friend Franklin's horror. As he starts trying to get answers out of him. That's great.
It's going super well.
It's going well.
They fucked him up.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. Oh boy.
Yep.
Howdy. Meanwhile, Loki is investigating other unsolved missing children cases, comes across a Barry Millard, who went missing 26 years ago, interviews his still grieving mother, who's sure the same person that took her son is the same person that took the girls. Okay. He interviews the pastor again, who said the guy he killed had a family and took the children in broad daylight and usually took more than one at a time to wage war against God. Loki's like, well, I can't do shit with this information. And then we cut to Keller trying to beat the information out of Alex, who's, as usual, not saying anything. Yeah?
Who can do shit with that information? Like, what do you do with, we stole children as a war against God?
Yeah, it's like, oh, thank you. What do I do with this? Yeah. Later during a candlelight vigil, as the families break down into tears, Loki sees a sketchy-looking dude, acting weird, loses him after chasing him. He fights with his boss about resources and the fact that Alex wasn't under surveillance because now he's missing. Cool.
We love to see it.
You love to see it. He gets a call from a nearby shop's cashier who recognizes the suspect's sketch of who he saw. Someone who comes in often just to look at the children's mannequins and clothes. Freak. God, I wish I was her because Loki gives her his number to contact him if the dude ever comes back. I get it, but still, you know.
Do you think she called him after this was all said and done and was like, hey, so you want to get dinner?
What are you doing? Exactly. Oh, man. That's great. So Franklin Burge feels incredibly guilty over what they're doing to Alex, tells his wife who wants to see him. She tries to nicely talk to the absolute pulp of a human, because that's what he is now. His face is so swollen beyond belief. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. But he tries to run. He's tied back up. And then Keller starts to build something, and we're like, uh-oh.
Oh boy.
The Burgess come back the next day to find that Keller built an enclosure for Alex with a single tiny little PVC hole and a faucet inside that either douses him in scalding hot or freezing cold water.
He literally built a torture box.
He built a torture box.
Just pitch black. Sensory overload.
Yeah. Yikes. Keller is unhinged in this.
Yeah, I don't know why, like, beating someone up doesn't, like, I guess because beating someone up is, like, it's bad, but there's, like, levels to it where it's like, yeah, like, you can go overboard with what you start off as is, like, not a horrible, like, it's bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not saying beat people up, but, like, it scales over time. This thing is just, like, torture.
Mm-hmm. It is, 100%. It's fucked up. Keller's like, yeah, go ahead and let him go. I dare you, basically.
Also, here's my big question.
Uh-huh.
What is Keller's plan here? Because if this kid tells him where they are, is he just going to kill him? Because like if he tells them where they are and he releases him, he'll just immediately say, hey, this guy kidnapped me. I can show you like where.
But I don't think he was thinking logically.
That's fair. That is fair. But I'm going to insult him for it anyway.
Fair. Okay. Yeah.
I guess his plan here, I'll find my daughters because I don't trust the authorities, but they won't have a father once this is done because I'll be in jail forever.
Right. You know, flawed logic, but no logic actually. So, Franklin almost lets him go until Viola Davis, his wife, by the way, tells him to like think of their daughter, and then they leave him. They just leave him.
Yep.
Yeah. See, that night, a mystery guy creeps around both of the girls' houses and leaves a window open, waking up Anna's mother, who thinks that her daughter's come back. She calls the police.
Loki, she's losing it.
She is losing it, which fair, I guess.
Yeah.
You know.
That scene stressed me out. That was the scene that I think like really pushed me to my limit. Not the mom, because I assumed the son was there too. And I was like, okay, there's two people here. But when he was walking through the house, while the daughter was in the bath, I'm like, okay, she's at her most vulnerable.
Was horrifying. 100%. Yes. It's a scary scene.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. Loki takes a statement from her, but becomes suspicious of Keller when he sees their apocalypse kit of a basement. Cool.
Yep.
Not a lie down there. See, so he goes to follow him. Keller catches him. They have a tense conversation in the car, and then Keller goes home to rest and then sees his daughter in his dreams. They're all losing it. Keller continues to torture Alex the next day, and then Loki finds him there. And Keller's just like, hey, I just come and hang out in this apartment to drink so my family doesn't see me like this. I'm like, good cover. And then right before the police find Alex, Loki gets a call from the cashier who saw the weirdo at the store again. Goes to investigate that, confronts the dude at his house, and finds maze drawings and boxes of bloody kids' clothes and fucking snakes.
It was another moment where I went, what the fuck? Actually, I had a series of thoughts here. First, I had, on one hand, I think what Hugh Jackman's doing is terrible.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't want Hugh Jackman to get caught. So like that entire scene, I was like, please don't find it. Please don't find it.
Right.
And I don't know why.
No, same here.
Because I should want him to get caught.
This is fucked up. He should get caught, but like I don't want him to, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if I didn't want him to in that moment. Like, I'm not against him being caught eventually.
Right. But he hasn't found his daughter yet, so.
Yeah. The music in this, by the way, is stellar.
Yeah.
This movie's music is intense and works so well all the time.
Absolutely. Yes.
But yeah, then when he gets to the guy's house after tracking him, there was just like a series of things from like, first of all, he slammed that dude's head into a wall.
Yeah.
Like slammed it into a wall.
Oh, yeah.
And then you hear the sound of flies, which is a great sound cue because like you hear flies and you immediately go like dead body.
Dead body. Exactly.
Just terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like it. And then the fucking snakes.
Yeah.
Like, why? Also, if you open a box full of snakes, why do you leave the box open?
I don't know. That's like, what kills me.
They keep coming out. And I was sitting there and it got to a point where there was just like every box was open and they were coming out of every box, like all over the floor. And I was like, if Detective Loki dies because he didn't close the snake boxes, I will lose my goddamn mind.
Oh, yeah. Incredibly stressful. Like, don't get bitten. Don't get bitten. Oh, my God. Christ. So the parents identify some of the clothes belonging to the girls, and the weirdo, Bob Taylor, by the way, confesses to killing them. He's crying and drawing mazes in the interrogation room, and like Loki's fed up and goes in to question him more. Chaos ensues, and then the scuffle, Taylor grabs one of the officers' gun and kills himself. So perfect. Great.
I feel bad for Loki. Like, this entire movie, everyone's giving him shit. And like, yes, this was a mistake on his part. But overall, the entire movie, everyone's like, no, don't do this. No, like, I can't do that. Like, you're not doing your job. I'm like, man, Loki's trying his best.
His best. He's just trying to find these girls that are missing.
He's really doing his best.
Come on, exactly.
He's out here trying, man.
Yeah. But, yeah, he's blamed for Taylor's dead, so cool. Meanwhile, Keller drinks and talks to Alex, who finally mentions something about finding the girls in a maze. Cool, thanks for finally speaking.
I'm trying to make a Westworld joke, but it's not super easy with the point we're in right now. But mazes.
Yeah.
All right. Ha ha ha.
Funny joke.
Anyways.
But
also, when Mysterio and Wolverine are working together to try and hunt down Riddler and Polka Dot Man with the help of Gen 1 War Machine.
Yeah. And
everything is superheroes. We live in a hellscape.
Who does Viola Davis play in Suicide Squad?
What?
Viola Davis. Who's she playing?
Suicide Squad? You're right.
She's there too.
Amanda Waller's there too.
Amanda Waller, that's it. Yeah.
God damn it.
They're all, yeah.
Anyway.
And then, wait, Polka Dot Man. He's also in Ant-Man.
Yeah, he's in Ant-Man. I just don't know what his character in the Ant-Man is.
I don't either.
And he's in The Dark Knight for like 5 seconds.
Oh yeah.
And he's in the Flash TV show as Abracadabra. So if you want to go television with it, you can do that. He's got a long storied career of superheroes.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Gosh. Anyways. Keller goes to the aunt's house to apologize.
This is when I figured out what was going on.
Yeah.
This is the point where I forget. Maybe is this when she said her husband disappeared 5 years ago, or had she said it before?
No, I think she says here he disappears. Yeah. Their son had died of cancer. Rose like to keep snakes.
She said the snakes thing wasn't even it. She said my husband disappeared 5 years ago, and my brain just went, oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Everything else was ancillary. Once I heard 5 years, and I thought of the dead body, and I was like, that body looks like it could have been about 5 years. And then I went, oh no.
Oh no. Uh-oh. Spaghetti-o. Yeah.
I hate that I almost said that, and then I was like, I won't do that. That's dumb.
No, I will say it for you. Don't worry.
Okay. Mm-hmm. One brain cell.
One brain cell.
One podcast.
Exactly. It's a new slogan. One brain cell, one podcast.
I respect it.
Yeah.
I don't hate this idea.
Not terrible, you know?
Yeah.
So back at the police station, the captain tells Loki that, you can't win every case. You should just get over it and find a girl, and I am eagerly volunteering. Please, Jake Gyllenhaal, call me. Oh, gosh. So he goes back angrily to his desk, and then he sees the maze that Taylor was drawing. Looks real similar to the corpse's pendant in the pastor's basement. And then you're like, oh, okay, if you didn't get it before. He's hammering it home now.
I know that I know that a lot more time passed in this movie than it did, obviously, for us. And he's also probably, like, thoroughly exhausted. But I am surprised that didn't click in his head.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing the pendant and being like, that's a weird design. Mm-hmm. And then once they started drawing, like, the circle maze, I was like, that's the same design.
It's the same thing. But, he was worried about other things. Probably wasn't...
I get it. He was busy. He was stressed. He had other things going on.
Yeah.
He's not casually sitting on his couch with the calmness of a viewer.
Right, exactly. He's actively doing detective work, so fair. Don't blame him. So this time, another cop calls Loki back to Bob Taylor's house, who shows him children's mannequins with the heads caved in, buried in a yard, and that the blood in the clothes were all pig's blood. It also seems that Taylor was just copying the book The Invisible Man. And Loki can't figure out why and how the parents positively ID'd the clothes if he was just faking it, so... Whoa, wacky.
But then he does smart boy things.
Smart boy thing. Because then he remembers Keller's wife, Grace, telling him about the open window. And then he goes to look. He finds a sock underneath it. And then Grace gets a call that Joy's been found. One of the girls, she was found wandering and drugged, and tells Keller that he was there. And then what? Is
the second time where I wrote, this time in all caps with periods after each word, what the fuck is going on?
And then you're like, is he
I was like, does he have like an evil twin? Is that where this movie is going? Like, is it like a Fight Club thing? Is there like a split personality and he's like the kidnapper and the victim? What is happening right now?
Really whack. In fragmented flashbacks, we see the girls like bound and gagged. And And then at some point that they both ran away, the other girl, Anna, was caught, but Joy got away. So Keller realizes something, rushes off, loses the police that were chasing him.
Imagine how much that's about to happen could have been solved by him just telling the police where he's going.
I know. Like, homie, just stop.
Communicate.
Loki, and then we're good.
Yeah.
But no. Loki goes back to the rundown apartment and finds Alex. Meanwhile, Keller had gone to the aunt's house with his tool set to offer penance, I guess. It's like, hey, I'm sorry your nephew's gone missing. Let me help. So she invites him in, then holds him at gunpoint and makes him take some of the sedative that she used on the girls. Cool.
Yep.
And then she tells him about how her and her husband, the corpse in the pastor's basement, if we didn't already make that clear, decided to make war on God by making kids disappear and turning their parents into demons. So that's a plan and a half, I guess. Yeah. So she shoots him in the leg and forces him into the pit that the old car outside was covering. And then she covers the pit again, and I'm like, oh God. And then while he's in there, he finds his daughter's safety whistle and just prays that she's okay. And I'm like, oh, homie. Yeah, me too. Loki, meanwhile, is on the way to tell the aunt that they found Alex. But as he creeps through the house, he finds her injecting Anna with something, yells at her to stop. They both shoot their guns. Aunt is killed. Bullet grazes Loki's head. And he has to fight off unconsciousness and the blood running into his eye as he races Anna to the hospital. Holy shit. Talk about an intense scene. Yeah. Fade to black. And the next morning, Loki's reading the newspaper about how Barry Millard, our lovely Alex, has been reunited with his family. For 26 years. My God. The girls and their mothers come in to say thank you, and Grace stays behind to tell him that Keller still hasn't contacted her, but then she kind of realizes that, well, if he's found, then he's going to jail when he's caught. So, yeah. Yikes.
Which, like, fair.
He tortured a dude, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of
an innocent dude.
An innocent man, yeah. This is a guy with an IQ of a 10-year-old. My God. Yeah. So, yikes. So at night, Loki...
I'm sure you can relate.
Yeah. At night, Loki is at the aunt's house with the forensic techs who found dead snakes, but they can't do much else because the ground is frozen. They leave for the night, but Loki stays behind and keeps hearing a whistle. The end.
And there we have it.
That's Prisoners.
Prisoners. The movie, it's happened.
It happened.
Chloe, what are your feelings about Prisoners?
God, it's such a dark,
as a rewatch, just overall,
fucked up movie.
It's so fucked up.
So fucked up. I'm like, I would love to like watch it normally because Jake Gyllenhaal's so hot in it, but it's such a downer of a movie that I can't. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Loki finds Keller?
I think so.
So do I.
I feel he wouldn't like just hear that and then not investigate that.
Yeah. But that also doesn't necessarily mean that he like figures out to move the car.
True.
He could investigate it and just be like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, but I don't think he would just give up. Be like, I heard a whistle. I guess that was just the wind.
Yeah.
So it may. Yeah.
But it's like, there's a scenario I feel like where he like looks throughout the entire house. He looks everywhere. He's like, I'm so confused. Mm-hmm. But I also assume that he figures out to move the car eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a smart detective boy.
Good detective boy.
Detective boy. This movie's so dark.
It's so dark.
And yet, it weirdly doesn't feel as dark to me as some other movies. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to figure out why. And I don't quite know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because it's got kind of a happy ending. The girls are found and they're okay.
But there's like dark movies where I just can't watch it a bunch of times. Yeah. It's just like it emotionally exhausts me. And maybe that'll be the case if I try rewatching this. Maybe it's just because I had like the tension and like the curiosity this time that a rewatch, I'll be like, okay, this is a movie I can see like maybe once or twice or once a year, once every 2 years.
Yeah.
But right now it feels like a movie where like, I don't know, it doesn't have that effect on me. I think partly because like once you know what's happening, a lot of the scary things aren't actually that scary. Like Barry and Alex are victims, not perpetrators. And like the woman who isn't very scary is the one who's terrifying.
Right.
And like Hugh Jackman obviously is
unhinged.
Tortures a man.
Yeah, he's crazy.
But that part's bad. But again, you also don't see the violence of it, which I think I'm very, very appreciative of.
Super grateful for it. Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. It's like, it's very dark, but doesn't feel as dark to me as some other movies.
I get that completely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, again, like visually, I just think that the fact that there is warmth in the visuals, like Roger Deakins and Denis Villeneuve have talked about wanting it to feel claustrophobic and like intense, and it definitely does. But I also feel like there's a kind of warmth, like the candlelight visual, especially, where it's just like there's this. I feel like I can breathe even though I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know how to phrase that better than I.
It just feels normal to me. I
guess.
It's not super dark and cold, and I mean, it does look cold. It's winter, I guess, but.
And I think it helps that I like Detective Loki, because there are other movies where I just like Zodiac is another movie where I feel like it's also Jake Gyllenhaal. It's also about like a murderer.
Yeah,
I could not watch that movie a bunch of times.
No, I can't.
It's just But
also, you see the murders. A,
you see the murders. B, you don't like Gyllenhaal's character as much. Like I enjoy him, but I'm also like, you're going insane. Yeah. And we don't have like a good counterbalance to that. Like the counterbalance, I guess, to Gyllenhaal's character is Robert Downey Jr.'s, but he also becomes super depressed. And I feel like Gyllenhaal's character kind of doesn't. It's like he does his job, right? And it sucks, and he pushes himself to his limit. But it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. So it's weird. It is. But I know what you're trying to say, and I don't really know how to put that into words. Yeah. Either. There's just a skill, maybe in the scripting, maybe in the performances, maybe in the directing, maybe in all three combined. But there's something that makes me not feel as heavy watching this movie as I feel watching other movies. Yeah. And like the second I knew this was a child abduction movie, I expected to feel a lot heavier than I did. Right. But it's not. So with all that said, Chloe, what are your 3 favorite scenes in this movie? Okay, first one. Hugh Jackman just becoming unhinged, screaming in the car while Jake Gyllenhaal says like "hey" like 20 times. It makes me laugh. It's pretty good, yeah. One and only times I will laugh during this movie, but it's great. I think my first one is, and like my favorite is Loki rushing her to the hospital. That's so intense. It's so well shot. I genuinely wasn't sure if he was going to make it or not, which terrified me. He's like telling her to stay awake. She's like puking in the back and unconscious. And I'm like, oh my God. And it's also such a great use, in my opinion, of like, because this movie cuts around violence a lot, which I really appreciate. But obviously the one downside of cutting around violence is that these very like visceral, intense scenes can't happen. Right. You have to rely on the buildup, which I like. But this is a really great use of it where it's like, yes, you're not seeing like horrible gore or violence, but you are seeing like it's not just, oh, he finds her, she's on like the last breath and then it fades away and then fades in and she's okay. It's like, no, you're going to sit here and experience every second of this. Yes. So tense. It's and like fucking great. You're like, oh my God, he's going to crash because he has a bullet wound on his head. It's raining. I'm like, oh my God. But it's great. And it just really emphasizes too, like how good of a person he is. Like he does not give up. Exactly. I love him. That was, one of my favorite scenes too. I love it. So assuming that is, so if that's one of yours, what is your third favorite scene then? Third one is after his boss is like, hey, get over it and go find a girl or whatever. And then he goes and angrily messes up his desk. Because he looks really Do you like it because of the discovery, or do you like it because each time he says go find a girl, you just sit there going, me? I mean, me? Yeah, right? Me? No, it's like right after that when it's the discovery and also like, he looks attractive there. That's why too. Right. That's fair. Yeah. This I've never been more attracted to Jake Gyllenhaal in my life than I am in this movie.
Right?
He's very hot.
Very hot in this movie.
It's absurd.
It's great.
I don't know what specifically does it. Like, it's not the tattoos. I don't really like the tattoos.
No, they're okay.
It's just like the personality, I guess.
He's a good person. It's the haircut.
He's a good person.
Yeah.
He has the haircut you like.
He's got the haircut that I like.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks just like Ray Fadler in this movie. It's great.
He does. He really does.
Huh.
I also like the scene when he almost finds Alex in the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like Hugh Jackman's attempt to like mask it as he's just getting drunk in here.
Right.
As if he's not going to search the building anyway.
Exactly.
I like how close he gets to it. I like my own confusion of I don't know if I want him to find it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I like that scene a lot. It's good.
It's a good one.
And I didn't really know what to put for my third scene. The reality is there's a lot of scenes in this movie that I like.
Okay.
And one doesn't really stand out above another in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked the candlelight visual. I liked the little chase after it.
That was, yeah.
I thought it was like a creative way to add new layers to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie ends up having a very simple solution.
Mm-hmm.
But damn if it doesn't make it seem like a confusing ass solution.
Right. I know. Oh my gosh. Great.
So this, of course, brings us to our favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm of two minds here.
Okay.
Because normally I say we can't do protagonist.
Yeah.
But this movie technically has two protagonists.
Right.
So do we say choose anyone? Or do we say you can't choose either of them? Or are we realistic and say choose anyone that isn't Loki because we're both going to choose Loki?
I don't know. Because I can't pick any. I don't think I can. Outside of him.
It's hard to like anyone else.
That's also true. It's like...
Because they're all like very fucked up. Like they're good characters, but they're all just like so fucked up that it's hard for me to be like, I like you.
Yeah. He's only like the only other decent person. You could pick Hugh Jackman, but he's absolutely crazy. In this.
You could choose the kids, I guess. They're innocent.
Kids, but they're like
the older kids, not the ones that disappear.
Yeah.
I like 13 Reasons Why. Not the show, obviously, but like that character,
Good guy.
the kid.
Yeah. I mean, he's there at the beginning a little bit and then just kind of...
I like him in the beginning. I like when he's like stands up to his dad and he's like, what the fuck are you doing?
True.
You're leaving us here every night. Like,
Yeah. But, you know.
It is hard to choose. The obvious answer is here. We both love Loki.
It's Loki. Yeah.
We both love Loki.
Absolutely. Yes, I do.
He's so great.
He's amazing.
I would watch like an ongoing like film series of just Loki's detective agency.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just...
You're thinking about that idea now.
I'm thinking about it. I am manifesting it right now. Make it happen.
In terms of like more movie specific questions themselves,
Mm-hmm.
Chloe, what do you feel like this movie is saying? What's the message here?
Abducting kids is fucked up.
A shocking revelation. I never knew that. Thank God I watched this film.
Yeah.
It's taught me.
Don't do it.
No, but like, do you feel like there's other things, like are there other ideas or themes you get from this? Why do you feel like it's called Prisoners?
See, oh man, I wish I had the thought earlier. I could have thought about this a little bit more.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's not your fault.
I fully thought you had it, and that is on me.
Yeah. No, I'm going back through all the video essays that I've gone and watched because there's not many.
Have you watched a lot of Prisoners video essays?
There's like 3.
Okay.
Out there. I've looked and I've watched them all. There's a thoughtful answer in my head somewhere, and I'm trying to put it into words, and I don't. And I'm not the thoughtful, well-spoken one on the podcast here.
But you can be.
I could be.
You can be.
So Gyllenhaal is missing an L in this, and now I'm distracted by that.
In the doc or in what?
In the doc. Renner nailed it with Chloe Naylor.
I'm so sorry, Jake.
You fucked it.
How dare I?
This is annoying. It'll come to me like later when I'm trying to fall asleep. I'm like, that's what I want to say. But right now,
Can I like throw out some thoughts and see if that one of those triggers what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I feel like this is, and like this isn't just me like freeballing it. Not that you can't I don't know why I said freeball. This isn't just me just like freestyling it, I guess. Like you can think whatever you want about any movie or any piece of work and interpret it however you see fit. Yeah. Death of the author. But in terms of what I've heard like Denis Villeneuve say and the writer say, and even Jake Gyllenhaal talk about it. The thing that they keep expressing is it's like we're all kind of prisoners to our circumstances and our feelings.
There we go.
So it's like, yeah.
That's those are words that I wanted to put together.
So like, Gyllenhaal. Also, by the way, Detective Loki was not supposed to be the main character originally. It was originally written from Hugh Jackman's perspective, and then the writer decided to add in the Detective Loki perspective.
Good. I'm glad they did.
So am I.
Yeah.
Because he's better.
He's the best.
But it's this idea that like we're all kind of prisoners to our the mom is prisoner to the way she handles it, and Hugh Jackman's prisoner to the vengeance he feels. And also just like the fear he has, because he is this doomsday prepper who's just like built on fear.
Right.
He's prisoner to his fear. And Jake Gyllenhaal is prisoner to his commitment to his work and his inability to kind of like separate himself from the job he's doing. And we're all just kind of trapped in our own maze trying to get by.
That's it. Circumstances was the word I was looking for that I couldn't find. Prisoners of our circumstances. Thank you for words.
No problem. I feel like that's the interpretation that a lot of them have said.
Yeah.
This isn't the interpretation I initially had. Like, obviously, in terms of what prisoners means it is.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of view this as like an anti-vigilante movie.
Okay.
Like, I feel like this is the antithesis of a superhero film. Because in superhero movies, it's like, even if you watch Birds of Prey, it's... Have you seen Birds of Prey? I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Birds of Prey, it's like, oh, Renee doesn't get the job done until she breaks away from the police force. And like, and that's the theme with all these things where it's like Batman succeeds because he is working outside the scope of the law. And like a lot of these vigilantes succeed by working outside the scope of the law. Mm-hmm. And this movie's kind of like, no, don't do that. Like, the police are doing their job.
Yeah.
And I don't think Hugh Jackman ever really does anything that actually helps with the finding of his daughters that I can think of.
No, the only connection I could make is that Loki finds him in the torture box, and because of that, he goes to the aunt's house to tell her, and then finds the last girl.
Yeah, that's the only thing, and like that. But at the same time, Hugh Jackman could have easily gone to her house to. I mean, like, yeah, I guess technically there are those connecting points, but like, still, I feel like this movie is very like. It's trying to help you understand Hugh Jackman and what these things do to you and how we're capable of these things, but it's not pro that.
Right.
At no point is it like, yeah, look at what Hugh Jackman's doing. This is great. It's like, no, this is awful.
Yeah.
Just let the cops handle it. Loki's trying to do his job. And like even with that situation where, yeah, he could have told Loki where he was going and not gotten trapped in a hole because Loki knows what he's doing, and this man is a father who's doomsday prepped.
Right.
He is not a cop.
Exactly.
As much as he wants to think he is.
Not doom.
So I like that because I love superheroes, but I think sometimes we do, and I'm not saying like cops are great, but because America.
Right.
But I think sometimes we do get into this head that like if you take matters into your own hands, that solves the problem, and like a lot of times it doesn't.
Exactly. And
that doesn't mean you have to like accept everything the cops are doing, but it doesn't mean you have to go like full vigilante on it either. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
What do you think? I guess I kind of asked this. Like, I was gonna ask what you thought of the ending, but actually I'm gonna ask it anyway. Okay. What do you think of the decision to not show Hugh Jackman's character getting saved?
Love it. I think.
Okay.
I like
why
the ambiguity of it.
Okay.
Like, does he find him? Does he not? He probably does, but it's like, and everything's all tied up in a nice little
yeah. And I also feel like it kind of, even if they meant for you to believe that he's gonna find him because he's hearing the whistle, which might be what their intention was, I don't know. I feel like it would have kind of been repetitive to do another, he finds the person at the house and saves them.
Yeah.
Like we just saw that.
We all had that intense race to the hospital. It's like,
yeah,
we can leave it at, I don't know. Because if he does find him, he immediately goes to jail.
Yeah.
So it's like, we
have to deal with all those things too. Yeah.
Right.
I agree. Chloe, let's talk a little bit about setup and payoff, because this movie is very good at setup and payoff, which, like, obviously I feel like any mystery, I guess, kind of has to be good at setup and payoff. But there were just a little few things I want to highlight.
Okay.
From a narrative structure standpoint. Number one, the song, which is my favorite setup in this movie.
Yeah.
Her singing the song and then Alex singing the song is genius.
So good.
That is so smart. Now, normally setups have like a rule of 3, which you may have heard about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and rule of 3 applies to other things. Like in comedy, it's like you say the joke 3 times over time and like it's funnier. But with setup, it's like you introduce the idea, you remind the audience, and then you pay it off. So with the whistle is a perfect example where we're introduced to the idea of the whistle when she's saying like, where is it? Yeah. And then we're reminded of it when he has the dream sequence of her finding the whistle. And then we have the payoff of him in the hole finding the whistle. So we know she's down there, which obviously we already knew because the woman told us. Yeah. But B, we now like this whistle becomes the thing that saves him. So, and it's this kind of Chekhov's gun of like, because we keep being reminded of the whistle, we know the whistle has to be used eventually.
Exactly. So good.
Because if not, why wouldn't it be like a necklace?
Right. Like why? Yeah.
And it's also, I guess, kind of like, now that I'm thinking about it, it's also this kind of, I don't have like the right words for it because I wasn't thinking about this beforehand, but this commentary on like loss of safety, because it's a safety whistle and she gets taken when she's looking for her sense of safety.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how to like turn that into a metaphor that's like of value beyond just like, this is what happened. Like, but there's probably one there somewhere.
There's something there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then finally, like the doomsday prep thing is another one where it's, we are introduced to him as a doomsday prepper. It sets up that he's fearful as a person, but it's a setup that he's capable. And we see that reminded when they go into the doomsday bunker and he's like, oh, the lie is missing or like half empty.
Yeah.
And then we see the full payoff when he falls into the hole and my brain immediately goes, he can survive there for a while. He's like a doomsday prepper. He knows his whole ideology is like know how to survive shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's little things like that are really smart, like good ways to set up and pay off.
Love to see it.
Anyway, Chloe.
Yes.
A couple things you may not have known.
Let's hear it.
You might have also because you know this movie very well because it's one of your favorite movies. But it's based on a short story by the screenwriter Guzikowski that Guzikowski wrote, and that short story was based on an Edgar Allan Poe short story, The Telltale Heart.
Oh.
And the short was about a father whose kid is struck by a hit and run driver and then throws the guy in a well.
Okay.
So just the basis of this thing was fucked up.
Nice.
Never started off good. It was not like, oh, let's do like a detective movie about a detective solving a crime. It's like, no, let's talk about a father torturing a human being for potentially injuring his child.
Yeah, fucked up.
There were other directors attached to this project before Denis Villeneuve was brought in. That includes Antoine Fuqua and Bryan Singer.
Okay.
I don't know who Antoine Fuqua is, but Bryan Singer's bad.
Yeah.
Guzikowski credits Mark Wahlberg for getting this movie to happen. A connection between two of your favorite, or like your favorite movie and your favorite franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He was apparently just like a big champion of it. He also was apparently attached at one point, but it was unclear on how. One part of Wikipedia said that he was a producer, but the article it was referencing never called him a producer. It just said he was attached. So, okay. I don't know.
I know on the HBO credits it says he's a producer.
Interesting. Then maybe he is.
Maybe.
The movie, as I said, originally did not focus on Detective Logie as a second lead. And I feel like he honestly feels like, I know it starts with Hugh Jackman, so technically Hugh Jackman's the lead character. But I still feel like it's Loki's movie.
Oh, yeah. Definitely feels like it.
Hugh Jackman hitting the wall with a hammer and Paul Dano fainting was unplanned.
Oh.
Yeah. Hugh Jackman just did it and Paul Dano was like, I should faint here. And then he fainted.
Nice. Acting.
Yeah. We love to see some good improv.
Yes. God, what an
intense. It's also a good testament to Denis Villeneuve because he talks about this where he's like, as I've gotten older, I've become a lot more capable and like open to collaborating with like the actors and the people on set and, you know, sharing ideas and sharing like and creating something together more organically. Because that's something that like a lot of directors, when they're new to something, they're kind of afraid to give up control. But Denny's gotten better and better at it.
Nice.
So you get cool scenes like that. Jake Gyllenhaal watched 100 hours of interrogation videos to prepare for his 3-minute interrogation scene.
Oh my gosh, I love him.
That man is insane.
He's wild. Oh my god.
What is going on through his head?
Just getting into character, you know?
I guess.
Yeah.
The movie came out in September of 2013. It has an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Good. Decent. Okay.
It was put on 8 critics' top 10 lists for 2013 movies. And a couple negative reviews for it. One person, David Thompson, called it hideous, cruel, degrading, depressing, relentless, prolonged, humorless, claustrophobic, and a mockery of any surviving tradition in which films are entertaining. Just a lot.
She sounds fun.
A lot of things were said.
Yeah. Okay. Oh boy.
I don't agree.
I mean, yes, it's depressing, but
yeah, like I mean, a couple of things are like it's claustrophobic and depressing and humorless, and I'm like, yeah.
I mean, yes, I think that was the point.
There have always been dramas that are that way. Like, look, I love entertaining, fun movies.
Right.
I love them.
Me too. But
I'm not going to act like movies have to be that. Mm-hmm. Now, if all movies started veering towards like dark and depressing, I'm not going to be pleased. And like, if we look at video games, they were talking about that recently, where they're like, oh, in Last of Us 2, you have to kill the dogs.
Yeah, it's like
brutally, and like in Cyberpunk, you have to do this brutally. And there's definitely a point where I'm like, this is too much.
Yeah,
this is like
being brutal just to be like edgy. Yeah.
But this movie isn't that. Like, they say these things like it's cruel and degrading and relentless, but I don't agree. I feel like if anything, it's does a good job of holding, like we've talked about this, it holds back from the more grotesque violence.
Right. Doesn't lean all the way into that.
Yeah. So I just feel like this review is wrong.
Yeah. It's pretty tame.
You hear that, David Thompson? You're wrong.
Wrong.
Sheila O'Malley also had some negative things to say about it. She said Jackman's performance grew monotonous, which, like, I guess I can kind of see.
Yes.
If you're playing a character who gets very angry very fast, like, I don't know how much different you can do it.
Yeah.
But like, okay, sure.
Right.
She also said the film sometimes verged on pretentiousness, which I do not agree with.
Okay.
I think that's, in watching all these movies, that's like, in watching all these Denis Villeneuve movies, I feel like that's my biggest takeaway from him, is that he takes movies that could be pretentious and makes them not.
Yeah.
Like Arrival, especially. Arrival could have so easily been a pretentious ass movie.
Yeah.
It could have been 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not.
So glad it's not.
Because Denis Villeneuve is not Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep insulting Stanley Kubrick because I don't like him.
Okay.
Anyway, the movie made $122.1 million on a $46 million budget, so it did fairly well for itself.
Good.
And that's its reception. That's the things you may not have known. Chloe, it's time for games.
Yay.
Before we dive into the eponymous Nailed It with Chloe Naylor, I'm going to throw some trivia questions at you.
Oh boy. Okay.
I have 2.
Mm-hmm.
One is that 2 other A-list actors were once attached to this project. Now, I don't know if they were like both attached as Loki and Keller, or if it was just like they were both considered for Loki. I don't know. I don't know if it was like at the same time, or if it was just like they were both considered. I don't know.
Yeah.
But 2 actors, A-list actors, were considered for this movie, were attached to this movie. Who do you think they are? And when I say A-list, I mean A-list.
I'm going to guess Tom Cruise.
Nope.
That's who I think of when you say A-list. That's
interesting. I get it. I see that.
I don't know why. That's it. Huh.
I will say they're A-list, but they're more, not to say they don't do blockbusters or like crowd-pleasing films, but I will say they fall more into like the Academy Award-winning, like high art, like acclaimed. They're acclaimed A-list actors. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I'm like going through in my head like all of like the best like actor nominees. This is the part of the show where I forget every single actor ever.
I understand.
Ever existed. And then when I think of like Oscar nominees, I'm gonna guess like I don't know. Like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Do you want to give me two names, and if you're wrong, I'll just say you're wrong and then tell you the answers?
Sure, but one of my guesses is DiCaprio.
Okay. And who's the other one?
Like, I know Mark Wahlberg's not really that, but that's all I can think of now because we talked about him earlier.
It's not Mark Wahlberg, and I'm going to give you a second guess on the second person. Leonardo DiCaprio is correct, by the way. Good job.
Oh, nice. All right, sick.
Yeah. But because we brought up Mark Wahlberg originally, I'm going to give you like a free second guess or third guess, I guess. Guess.
A guess. Can my dumb brain like work for a minute? Can I think of a single like man?
I mean, you got DiCaprio.
I got DiCaprio somehow. Because I think of Oscars and Best Actor, I'm like, oh, DiCaprio, because he didn't win for ever. Like, that's it. Don't know.
You want to bail?
I'll bail.
It's Christian Bale.
You motherfucker. God damn it. Wow. Okay. All right. Okay.
During trivia, I feel like you just have to always listen to the words I say because there's a good chance that if you're not getting it, I'm going to try and drop a hint.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
I got DiCaprio. I'll take that.
The second trivia question you have a better chance of knowing.
Ooh, okay.
This movie was nominated for 1 Academy Award. What was the Academy Award? I'm
going to guess and hope it was cinematography.
You are correct.
Oh my God. Whoa.
There you go. You're 2 for 3.
Nice. Okay. I'll take it.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Now this brings us to the real hot topic of the episode of the day, Chloe.
Let's do it.
It's time for Nailed It with Chloe Naylor. We're moving away from the always ranking the villain theme. Because like, who are you going to rank in that? Like, who are you going to rate in this? The woman? Who cares?
Yeah.
This movie has Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes.
Chloe, what are Jake Gyllenhaal's sexiest roles and why?
Ooh, let me tell you. So I have a top 5 list here. Number 1, this movie. He's got.
Yeah,
he's got it all.
I obviously have not seen every Jake Gyllenhaal movie, but I feel like yes.
Yes, he's got the haircut that I like. He's a good person. Like the tattoos help a little bit. I'm not like whatever either way. There was one other thing I don't know, but I really him in this. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is it him driving with a gunshot wound to save a small child?
Sure, that helps.
I feel like that's pretty hot.
That's pretty hot.
Yeah,
like blood dripping down his head. I'm like,
yeah,
that's hot. You look like Rafe Adler. I guess I'm gonna fall in love with you.
God, he really does.
This is the movie. I'm like, you don't think he should be like a Rafe Adler in the live action Uncharted? Just watch this movie. It's the same.
Did you, when you first played Uncharted 4, like, did you watch this movie before Uncharted 4 or play Uncharted 4 before seeing this movie?
I played Uncharted first.
Okay, so you watched this movie and then you're like, holy shit.
And I'm like, oh my God. Because I watched it for Jake Gyllenhaal and I'm like, okay. Yeah. It's great. Let's see. Second sexiest one. I'm gonna go with Far From Home.
Okay.
He's great in that.
I like him far more than I like that movie.
He's the only reason why I like the movie.
I like him in the movie.
Yeah. It's an okay movie, but I'm like, I'm just here for you. You've got I don't know, he's what the fuck? He's Syndrome in that movie, basically. You know? Pretends he's the hero, makes his own bad guy to fight.
To be fair to him.
Okay.
I feel like he's more right in Far From Home than Syndrome is.
That's fair.
Like, Stark did kind of fuck them over. No one addresses that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. I think my running theme with this and with Incredibles and with other movies is like, hey, maybe the villain has a point even if they're doing things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the villains more, guys.
Exactly. That's what I've been saying. Come on. Third is his sexiest role is in Zodiac.
Okay.
He's like more soft in that movie, so he's a different kind of cute, but still a fan. I can't watch that movie too often though. Like even when
it's intense.
We watched it in San Francisco and I'm like, the murders come on. I'm like, I'm stressed out. I can't watch. Yeah. Fourth is in Southpaw because he's ripped and he's shirtless.
Makes sense.
So, not bad. And then last, but certainly not least, is Donnie Darko.
Okay.
He's cute in that.
And what would you say is his least attractive movie role?
I have to go with Okja.
Interesting. I get that. He's a caricature.
Yeah, he's more creepy in that than anything.
Yeah.
I almost said Velvet Buzzsaw because I really don't like that movie either.
What about Nightcrawler?
He's still got some, like, he's in a weird area there. I don't really
in a weird
know.
middle ground where it's like, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And I'm like, you're creepy. But you're
charming.
also still, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Nightcrawler's weird.
Nightcrawler is weird. I like it a lot. But
yeah.
I feel like it's one of those movies that veers more into the so dark that I can't watch it a bunch kind of things.
Yeah.
Because it's just uncomfortable.
A little more fucked up.
Yeah. Chloe, with executive action, what is one or two things you would change with this movie?
I thought about this. Like anything that I don't like, I'm like, well, it's just part of the movie. I don't know. I'm so glad there's no violence. Otherwise, I'd just cut that out. It could be cut some of the weird threads that he follows that don't. But I'm like, no, those are fun. I'm like, I like
the threads that don't go anywhere because I feel like that's important to the feeling of detective. If it'd be too easy if it's just everything he follows works.
Exactly. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I got nothing. I love this movie.
I think I would cut. I think I'd have him close the snake boxes after opening each one.
Close the boxes. Yeah. Okay.
I feel like I was just distracted. I was just I get that it's cool to watch all the snakes slithering out, but I was just distracted. I was like, why is this happening? Why aren't you closing these? What is going on?
Okay, that's fair.
And I feel like it could still be viscerally impactful to see him open, snake, close, open, snake, close,
nope.
open, snake, close.
Nope, you gotta see.
And almost a nice funny moment. I don't think that needs to be as intense. It could have been kind of amusing just to see him going through every box being God damn it, this one too.
Yeah, it's oh, snakes. Nope, that's snakes. Yep. Nope. The last one's oh, children's clothing with blood on it. Oh boy. Yep.
Yeah. And snakes.
And snakes.
So there's that. And then also I think maybe don't have the daughter taking a bath when the guy goes through the house because it's already creepy.
Mm-hmm.
But also because that is set up for a twist, I guess.
Yeah.
I was left so, I guess, confused and just distracted by fear that I wasn't actually thinking about oh, what's he up to? What's going on?
Yeah. I guess they could have made her a little less vulnerable, just have her sitting on her bed on the phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's because I think that scene does enough without thinking she's about to be murdered. Mm-hmm. If it was a case of this scene exists for that fear, I would agree.
Yeah.
And it's not I think it's that big a deal. Keep it. I don't give a shit. But if I were doing it, I think that scene would play better as a mysterious, why was this person here? And not as a oh, thank God they're alive.
Right. I get that. Okay.
And also just I couldn't watch it. I was terrified she was going to die and I had to look away and I don't.
Pretty scary.
It was the only moment where I was I cannot look.
Okay.
Anyway, that's our games for this week. Chloe, what are your closing thoughts? Also, I don't know if I've ever said this to you. I might have, but every time I say, Chloe, what are your closing thoughts? My brain goes, what are your Chloe'sing thoughts?
I knew that was coming. Fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. This movie is great. Can't watch it too often. But it's still often enough. It's not horribly depressing and emotionally draining and all of that. It's a good movie. It's a good little mystery.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of dark movies kind of are look how bad humanity is.
Yeah.
And this one didn't feel like that. It kind of felt like we can be damaged and scared and hurt and that can make us do things.
Mm-hmm.
But that feels a lot more I don't know. It feels a lot more universal than a lot of dark movies like this tend to do. Zodiac, it's look, this guy's obsessive. And I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I'm not.
Yeah.
And this guy's a serial killer. And I'm okay, I'm also not.
Yeah, nope.
But in this one, I the woman's crazy, obviously. But everyone else, even with how dark Hugh Jackman goes, it's I understand this. I understand why they're doing what they're doing. I can, even if I think it's kind of like John Wick, where I've talked to my mom about this a lot. My mom doesn't really like action movies, especially not like especially heavily violent action movies. I don't mean violent in the sense of like gory, because I also don't like that, but violent in the sense of just like a lot of murder. She doesn't like watching people die.
Okay.
Even if it is John Wick style death.
Yeah.
And I like John Wick because it's not about like, oh, hey, let's just watch a movie where a guy kills a bunch of people. It's about like how we cope with loss, and it's about like how we cope with tragedy and the anger we feel. And all the action you see in that movie is a metaphor for like what we feel inside of ourselves and like the vengeance we feel inside of ourselves. And I feel like this movie kind of hits that same thing where it's like, yeah, the stuff happening is extreme, but the emotions are very realistic to like what we're accustomed to feeling. The anger of losing a child, we can theoretically relate to at least. And like the drive Loki has to just like do his job and protect these kids, we can relate to. And the pain the mom goes through, I feel like we can relate to. And just like all these things, like I get it. It doesn't feel like me watching bad people for the sake of watching bad people. It feels like watching realistic humans struggling with pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. Exactly.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, right? I'm so glad you do.
I really like this movie.
So happy.
I'm so glad that there's like a dark, fucked up movie that I can like really, really jive with, because that's so rare for me.
Yeah. Because if they're dark, they're going to be everything that you say you don't like about a dark movie.
Yeah, and it's like, again, it's not that I don't like dark movies. It's just that the movies I will want to go back and rewatch are the ones that will be my favorite. So they're the ones that will stick with me. And most dark movies I watch once and I'm like, okay, I did it. I never need to see that again. Like okay. It's perfect. It can be perfectly good, but I don't need to keep experiencing this.
Right.
And even Parasite, like I love Parasite and I will keep rewatching Parasite. But there are times where Parasite feels kind of exhausting.
Okay, yeah.
And this, I don't think has that same feeling, but maybe it will. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. Chloe, if people like this movie, what other movie would you recommend for them to watch?
A few. So, if you also like Denis Villeneuve and Jake Gyllenhaal, and you want another weird movie, watch Enemy, because that's just weird. It's a weird movie. And then I'm recommending my other favorites. Watch Gone Girl if you like mysteries. And if you want to see more of just Denis Villeneuve, watch Arrival. Also slow, build up, great shit. Love that movie.
Those are all great recommendations. I love Arrival's. I watched Arrival at this point, I believe. Like I ended watching Arrival maybe 3 hours ago.
Okay.
Arrival is in my top 10 movies of all time now. I'm
so happy to hear that. Oh my God.
That movie, I don't understand how a human being was capable of writing that movie.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy because I love that movie so much.
It's so good.
It's so good.
On every level.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. Arrival's very good. Watch Arrival.
So happy to hear that.
I'm glad I'm finally on the opposite end, because every time I would tell someone I hadn't seen Arrival, they'd be like, Ben, what the fuck? And I'd be like, look, I tried. It was just like the wrong time. I fell asleep. But now I can say I've seen Arrival. I've done it.
Arrival. I'm so glad you liked it. Oh my God.
I'm here to make you happy sometimes when I'm not insulting you.
Fair.
Also, outside of movies, True Detective, I feel like would be a good kind of similar vein. This first season of True Detective. I can't speak to the third, and the second is bad.
Okay.
But first season, I feel like, is a good similar vein kind of thing to this. And then I'm going to reference a lot of movies that I've watched this week.
All right.
And the fact that they all connect is kind of unintentional. But if you want to watch a movie about child abduction that isn't dark like this, watch Murder on the Orient Express, the 1970s version by Sidney Lumet, not the most recent one. I can't speak to the most recent one, but the reviews are not as good, so I'm assuming it's worse.
Gotcha.
But it's a whodunit. It's like a fun whodunit, but it does have that same basis of like, you know, child abduction. Vengeance is also a theme of it. So it handles its approach to the subject matter very differently, but it does have a lot of similar like overarching subject matters. So there's that. And then I would also recommend, I watched Bad Teacher, or not Bad Teacher. I watched Bad Education, which is the new HBO movie with Hugh Jackman, which is very good. It's my favorite movie of this year so far.
Okay.
And admittedly, I care about education a lot, so I'm just like biased towards liking it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I've given it the highest review of anyone that I've seen on Letterboxd, like of my friends, but only by like a half star.
Okay.
A lot of people gave it 4 out of 5. I gave it 4.5 out of 5. Anyway, I think it's great. It's also possibly Hugh Jackman's best performance.
Interesting. Okay.
Because he's charming in this, which like is a thing that we've seen Hugh Jackman be before.
Yeah.
But he's charming as a weapon. It's not like, oh, haha, like, look, everyone loves him. It's like, oh, haha, look, everyone loves him. And he's kind of using it to manipulate everybody. Not to say that he's like a bad person, but he definitely like weaponizes his charm.
Okay. Interesting.
This is my pitch for Bad Education. So yeah, check those out if you like this movie and want to watch something else.
Nice.
Or just watch the entire Denis Villeneuve filmography like I've been doing.
Do it. Can I recommend that enough?
Chloe,
Yeah.
Before we go, what is one cool thing you have done or seen this week?
Man, I wish I watched all the movies you watched this week. Wish I watched Arrival for the first time. Experienced that again. What have I done? What have I done? What have I done?
You've played a lot of video games, I assume?
Play a lot of video games. New
You do
Apex
a lot of that.
Legends thing is today. Streaming that later.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Yeah. Not much. That's it, honestly. I'm just playing video games.
I get it.
And then this comes
Video
out.
games are a valid pastime. It's the thing you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when this comes out on Thursday, right?
Yes.
I'll be streaming tomorrow Lego Incredibles, so that should be fun.
So when you say tomorrow, you mean on Friday?
On Friday.
Gotcha.
Yes.
All right, because it's going to be your birthday.
It's going to be my birthday stream.
Happy 3 days. Happy 3 days in advance birthday.
Thanks.
As of recording this, and happy day in advance birthday as of this posting.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I feel like I just listed everything I've done.
I think you just
did.
did.
/seen. Yeah. I also watched The Director and the Jedi, which is the documentary about the making of The Last Jedi on the special features of The Last Jedi Blu-ray. Okay. And I cried multiple times.
Fair.
I love that movie so much.
It's one of your favorite movies. I get it.
I know. It's so good. It's so good.
Ooh, I don't know if I talked about this last week or not either. I watched Devs on Hulu.
Ooh, how was that?
It was interesting. I also like Alex Garland a lot.
Yeah, I love Alex Garland. I'm actually, the next free time I have to watch a movie, which maybe will be tonight, it probably won't be. I'm going to watch Annihilation because I still haven't seen it.
Ooh.
I know.
Okay.
And I'm in like, after Arrival, I'm in a very like philosophical sci-fi mood, which I just feel like I haven't been in the right headspace. Well, that's not true. With Annihilation, I want to watch it on a big TV in darkness and be in the right headspace. And those three things have not aligned. I've wanted to watch it, but not when I had access to like a big TV. Okay. And then I've had access to the TV, but not been in the mood. So I think it's all finally coalesced. And I'm going to watch. Please. I'm going to watch Annihilation. Because I love Ex Machina.
Yes.
Like with every fiber of my being. I have the Ex Machina like A24 hardcover screenplay.
Nice.
That cost me like $60, which is far too much money to spend on a screenplay, but it's lit.
It's fine.
So whatever.
Nice. All right. Ooh.
That's cool. So you like Devs?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to check it out.
Yeah. If you like, let me know how you feel about Annihilation. And if you really like Annihilation, you'll probably really like Devs.
Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Would you say because I like Arrival, there's a good chance I'll like
Did I say it right?
either of these properties as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like I don't know what Annihilation's about specifically because I've like avoided getting too much knowledge.
Yeah.
But I know that it's very trippy.
100%. Yeah. No, because I really like Arrival and I really like Annihilation. So I think you will love it too.
So you have like a weird sci-fi thing too.
I do.
Have you seen 2001: A Space Odyssey?
No.
I'm curious if you would like it or not.
I'm curious too because I've seen things and I'm like, I don't know.
Because it's gorgeously shot. I'm not here to discount the things 2001 does that are great.
Right.
There are things 2001 does that are great. It is definitely like conceptual. It's very disconnected from humanity, I think. Mm-hmm. And that someone could argue that it's not disconnected from humanity, but in the way I mean that term, it definitely is.
Okay.
And it's there isn't much humanity in the movie in terms of like us as individuals. You could argue that it kind of is connected to humanity in terms of like broad scope, like humanity kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But us as individuals, I don't feel like it does. I'm sure someone could come up here and be like, no, you're wrong. And metaphorically, it all is about the human essence. And like, fine, maybe I don't give a shit. Okay. But it feels devoid of that for me. So aside from one part in the middle of the movie that I really like, which is when HAL 9000 is around, I don't like the movie overall, but I'm curious to see if you like it.
Curious too. I'll have to watch it sometime.
Yeah. It's at the very least, you can say you've seen a classic and you know what it is now.
True.
Chloe?
Yep.
Next week, we talk about my second choice for favorite movie of all time.
Ooh.
And I say my second choice, but what I really mean is my favorite movie of all time. Uh-huh. It beats everything else. It beats Little Women. It beats Arrival now. That's on the list. It beats Paddington 2. It beats Last Jedi. It beats Princess Bride. It beats everything.
It beats your entire online brand. Wow.
I love how my online brand is like Paddington 2 and Rian Johnson / Last Jedi. And now kind of Little Women, it seems like.
A little bit.
And yet none of those are my favorite movies.
Nice.
Sing Street's this is like weird little like bubble where some people know I love it. Some people are like, I love how much you love that. But for the most part, no one realizes. Everyone just assumes it's Paddington 2 or it's The Last Jedi or it's something or it's Little Women, I guess now. But no. We are here to talk about Sing Street.
Nice.
The best movie ever made.
All right. I'm excited to see.
I will die on that grave.
Oh boy.
It's so good. I don't want to overhype it for you. Like, and I will say Sing Street is a movie that I love more and more the more times I watch it.
Okay.
The first time I watched it, I was like, that was like, I'd heard really good things and I watched it. And I was like, that was really good. I enjoyed that. It didn't hit me immediately. It didn't hit me where like day one, I was like, this is my favorite movie of all time. So I don't want you to go in thinking you're going to walk out being like, wow. I think you'll probably walk out of it being like, I really enjoyed that. But for me, over time, watching it more and more and more, it's untouchable.
Honestly, I think same for my like top favorite movies. Like I didn't like absolutely adore them the first time. Took time.
Yeah. So that happens for me a lot with things too. Like Game of Thrones, when it was good, I couldn't get into it the first time I tried to watch the pilot like 3 times. I couldn't get into Breaking Bad until pushing past season 1.
Okay.
And even that was like, I watched 3 episodes, went no, turned it off, and then a year later turned it back on. Same thing with Doctor Who. Same thing with like Moonrise Kingdom I love, but did not like the first time. It happens to me a lot.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So, we're talking about Sing Street. I'm super excited. Before people hear from us next week, though, Chloe, where can they find us if they want to hear all our musings and our thoughts?
Oh, boy, you can follow me anywhere. That's on Twitter, that's on TikTok, Instagram, Letterboxd, streaming on Twitch. Mentioned that earlier. I am everywhere at Echo Chloe.
You can find me at Mr_BentoBox on Twitter, at Mr. BentoBox, everywhere else, Instagram, TikTok, Letterboxd. I am thinking about starting Twitch streaming because you can stream Amazon Prime available movies now.
True.
And like so I don't have a good setup for Twitch streaming when it comes to games right now because I have a PC. It's not with me at the moment. So, and I don't really have like a desk set up aside from my sister's desk that I'm currently sitting at. And she's back home now because of coronavirus. So I can't just take over her room like I originally was able to. So all I have to work off of is my laptop. So I don't know how effectively you can Twitch stream a movie with a simple setup, but I feel like it must be easier than a video game.
It should be.
So yeah. So I'm going to look into that and see if I can just like, I don't know, maybe I can pull it up on my Xbox and watch it from there, or I pull it up on my laptop and I don't, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But if I do that, I'll tweet about it and do things. So if you're following me, you'll know. And if you're not following me, what are you doing? Follow my Twitter. Please. I want followers.
How
I don't have
are you
Chloe's
listening to this
clout.
and you don't follow us?
But see, like they probably follow you because you have like what, 10,000 plus followers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have that power.
Fair.
I feel like occasionally you reference me or you reference the podcast on your Twitter and then I gain a couple followers because people are like, oh, who's this guy?
Okay.
Who is he? What's his deal?
Who's this dude?
I don't have the clout. If you like this podcast, you can rate us and review us on iTunes. You can subscribe to us on whichever service you prefer, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and you can support us and That Nerdy Site as a whole on the interwebs. You can go to thatnerdysite.com to check out the other podcasts that are done by the other people on the website, as well as read any articles that people have written. You can also go to patreon.com/thatnerdysite to support That Nerdy Site, help throw in the money to keep this whole operation running. You know, there's expenses. There's podcasts to maintain. There's servers to pay for so that the streaming can happen. This is how technology works. I'm educated.
Yep.
Guys, this has been That Wannabe Film Class. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a blast to talk about like our favorite movies. I'm really enjoying this month.
This is a good month.
Last month was also a good month. We're on a roll right now.
We are.
I'm proud of us.
Me too. Love this for us.